Well, hello, guys. Welcome to the show. My name is Eric.
I'm Aaron.
I'm also Jay.
I'm Adam.
We have the whole team with us. We have rapidly watched this show just to get another one in for the month of 09, September 2018. Adam actually suggested this show, and I think we all came into it with very different expectations, but I think it made itself very clear in the first episode, I think. But this show is Legion on FX. Very good show.
And as always, spoilers ahead.
Spoilers ahead, very much so. I very much loved this show. I just got done watching the season 2 beginning recap that they have. But just to kind of get a little refresh, there's so much in this show. But let's just jump in, unless if y'all have any.
Let's lay the scene. Someone describe what the show's about. Let's lay the foundation now that we've all seen it.
So it's Harry Potter, but with X-Men.
Wait. I do have a question for the very first thing. But how is y'all's week? Have y'all been watching anything else? Anything else interesting, noteworthy, or are y'all ready to just talk about the show?
No, let's banter. I've been rewatching the Trailer Park Boys. I've also been watching The Leftovers, which is insanely good.
Fantastic.
So good. It's by far one of the most interesting shows I've seen in a long time.
Great show.
Yeah, it's essentially HBO show where just imagine one day 2% of the Earth's population randomly disappears, just vanishes.
Just 2%, 2%,
just 2%, but no scientific explanation. And so
just enough for everyone to be like, ha!
Yeah, everyone is just kind of like, what the fuck just happened? And no, there's no explanation.
But there's a lot of people left.
So, like, it looks at society and certain individuals in the society years after the event and what's happening to society around them, kind of.
Interesting.
There's actually an aspect to it that is Legion-esque, but that's neither here nor there.
Okay.
I've been watching a little bit of Ozark on suggestion by someone else. Do y'all have any familiarity with that?
I know that Christy has been watching Ozarks, and she's a huge fan.
Oh, man. It has the guy from... It's always on the tip of my tongue until I try
Jason Bateman from Arrested Development.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, encyclopedias. But he does such a good job at being like the badass. Like it's kind of like Breaking Bad, but instead of having to develop into it, this guy is already it. And I've only seen like 3 episodes, but it's just really good. But have y'all seen anything interesting? Any good movies? Or
I just saw The Predator, like the new Predator movie, and I enjoyed it. If you like action movies, you like witty banter humor or quips, and you like the Predator series, then I would suggest it.
It's not Disney, is it?
What? No. It's not
okay.
Disney.
Disney owns everything. I had to ask.
But it was fun. I don't know. The main guy, I feel like they're trying to make him into an action star badass, but I'm not buying it. Like, he's intentionally making his voice more gravelly than it probably should be. Like, his hair's too blonde. And maybe I'm being prejudiced.
Well, is it as good as the AVP series? Is it?
I would say that this is on par. It's like a halfway point between AVP 1 and AVP 2. So like, AVP 1 is like PG-13 Alien vs. Predator. It's got good story and good like action, but it's a little bit tame. AVP 2 was like aliens busting out of like pregnant women's stomachs and stuff, and it was like hardcore. And I feel like this was kind of the halfway point between those two. And Olivia Munn was in it.
I love Olivia Munn. I grew up with her on Tech TV.
X-Play, right?
Yeah. Dang. Adam?
Long time ago.
I've been watching a little bit of Into the Badlands, Netflix original. It's pretty good. It's a kind of post-apocalyptic Chinese martial arts meets Western.
Okay.
Think like Shanghai Noon, but TV series.
It kind of has like an Asian steampunk feel because everyone does martial arts. Because I've seen a little bit of it also. I haven't watched all of it, but it's everyone does martial arts, and swords are favored more than guns at this point in time, and so
Guns have been like banned.
yeah, everyone's got a sword or a staff or some shit like that.
Jay, what's new in your world?
Well, I've been watching Legion for one. I've also been watching Trial and Error, the NBC sitcom. And for anybody who likes Parks and Recreation, I definitely recommend this show.
So good. It's so damn funny.
Yeah, it's very much along the same kind of comedic lines. It's set in a fictional small town, and it's the quirkiest effing town you've ever met, but in a funny way. And everybody in it's fantastic. I'd really recommend it. The second season just ended, and I think it went off Hulu today. So, yeah, sorry, everybody.
That's okay. There'll always be other ways to find it.
Probably find it on a VPN
Or Amazon legally.
Yeah.
No, if you just hop over to Canada, I bet they have it legally.
Man, if only I knew somebody who had a hard drive full of media.
Man, yeah, those guys are hard to come by these days. With
Yeah.
crackdowns.
Gotta hold on to them. But
Hold on loosely.
Hold on, Moose. But hey, so there is a movie that I was forced to watch on a 4-hour plane.
There was a movie you were forced to watch?
I had a 2-hour nap, and then it was either going to be some
4-hour movie?
No, 4-hour plane ride.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But I had a 2-hour nap, and then I woke up with 3.5 hours left to go. Meaning I only slept for 30 minutes. But
you also don't have very good math skills.
I just did the math. Meaning I only slept for 30 minutes, but it felt like 2 hours. It was a good.
Okay.
But anyway, it's called Upgrade. It was essentially just kind of everything that we're about to talk about with Legion, but with technology, all in one movie. And so it's pretty worthwhile just to watch. It's totally an indie movie. The opening sequence alone, just the opening credits, I mean, is worth watching the rest of the movie. It's called Upgrade. But anyway,
wait, Eric, quick question.
Yeah.
When you fly, do you typically fly an airline that rhymes with Shamerican?
I fly with my convenient hub that does not have my favorite alcohol. Yes,
Sure.
it is torture.
So you know that video that they play usually when they have the screens.
I love it. Oh,
it's got the brunette in it.
So good.
Oh man, that girl, like, woo! If she was the real flight attendant, I would fly every single day.
Hey, I met some flight attendants that are they give you the gawk eyes. I mean, they know what's going on.
Can you spell gawk real fast?
All right.
GAWK.
No. That's not the way you want to spell it.
Are you sure?
I think there's actually two. I think that's the Urban Dictionary way of spelling. Gawker is the.
I thought GAWK was how you like. It's like staring at someone or gawking at them.
Isn't GAUK?
No.
That's guac.
Guac.
GAUC.
Hang on. Crow. Caw.
Suddenly, I'm hungry.
Okay.
All right, moving on.
Anyway, so a very good show. My first question about the show for you guys is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure. Did y'all know that this is legitimate X-Men? This is like canon X-Men?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know it was necessarily like mainstream canon. I thought it might have been a part of the X-Men universe.
David Legion is supposed to be Xavier's son, and the Shadow King is one of the oldest legitimate X-Men mutants from the comic books, and he's supposed to be like the biggest mutant, whatever.
One of the oldest mutants.
Yeah.
So the story of Legion is David Haller is a kid who's born, and he has mutant powers, but he doesn't know it. And an older mutant attaches to him, and basically causes him to start. He like feeds off of his power and his consciousness, and kind of off of his nightmares. It seems like he wants bad things to happen to him so that he can feed off of that fear and anxiety. And David then develops his powers when he goes through puberty, and he's a telekinetic, right, or telepath. He can hear voices, move things with his mind, teleport apparently.
And the whole time, people are telling him that he's crazy.
Yeah, people are telling him he's crazy because he's hearing voices and talking to things. And so he basically gets diagnosed as paranoid schizophrenic and is in the hospital. And that's kind of where it starts. Like, there's a nice little Rolling Stones montage of his childhood.
You kind of feel for him.
To
I think
the
it's
hospital.
going to be all about pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, well, one of the things I loved about this is because it was from David's perspective, a lot of times you didn't know exactly what was reality because it kind of was linear in the sense of, like, David would be telling the story at the beginning and he would be telling it from different points of the story. Like whenever he was in the pool with the guy from Division 3 or whatever, and then all of a sudden he was like in the doctor's office talking about what was happening. And it felt very first person in every single instance, as if he was reliving those moments every time. I really like that.
I think they did a really good job at not making it confusing. Like, I think any kind of jump between, I felt like it was very, I don't want to say linear, but it felt like I was keeping track of where we were at in which, I don't want to say dimension, but I guess memory or frame of thought. Like in the pool scene and in his mind, it felt like you knew the whole time in his mind that you were in his mind. And so it never felt like, which way are we going? Is this before or after? A lot of time jumpy movies or TV shows like Continuum got a little bit confusing at some point. Like,
did Continuum get canceled? Because I really enjoyed that about the corporations rising up and dominating everyone.
Yeah, it was like the tree. It was like a tree branch way of time travel, and branches could fall off if you break them.
Sounds like an interesting show. I really enjoyed Legion. I thought the direction choices were very interesting in the way that they showed the memories, and I thought the plot point of him being made to forget things and that showing up in the memories as like edits was also pretty cool.
That was cool.
I like that. Autonomy's power was like one of my favorites by far. Just like being able to transport people to their memories and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And just like review it and walk around. Like, that's badass. I did really enjoy what's his name? The professor, the doctor, the poet.
Melanie.
Carrie Louder.
Oliver.
No, Oliver.
Oh, the Ice Cube man.
Oh, Jermaine Clement. He was amazing.
Yeah,
He was amazing. He's going to be the bad guy in season 2, clearly.
He was like the best guru ever, and I'm kind of sour that he's the bad guy now. But
I'm excited that he's the
best
bad guy.
voice of TV history of all time. Like
he's in the running.
voice.
He's in the running with the guy from IT Crowd that was the boss in season 2.
Oh, I would love to see the two of them get together.
That would be fantastic.
Just have like a in between two ferns with them or something.
Because especially the way that he was dressed in this show,
Yes.
like very reminiscent of that other actor whose name I don't know, but IT Crowd.
Is free love still a thing?
Bras? Are they wearing bras?
Okay, well, this actually brings up one of the problems I had with the show.
Oh, really? Okay.
Which first I want to praise the show in its style. I thought the whole '60s thing was beautiful, great to look at. Like I loved that throughout. However, the timeline doesn't make any fucking sense. Like they had an MRI machine, so is it the '60s or not? Like the bad guys had iPads and iMacs. Like when is this? Jermaine Clement, he's wearing a leisure suit, but he's been in the cube for 20 years. So why isn't he dressed like it's the 40s? Like
I have similar rants. Like at the end of every show, they had like some weird '80s like squares, and they definitely took the Stranger Things soundtrack. So
I didn't like the end, the credits.
Yeah, me
sequence.
neither.
It didn't.
the end credits
yeah.
was weird. It
was
felt
weird.
like a sitcom. It felt like a Full House kind of like what?
I think that actually it's modern times.
But everything's the 60s?
No, I think
No.
that there was I feel like one of the things about this show was we were seeing it through David's eyes. And so just like David can alter the memories, I feel like he also can alter the way he sees the world.
Yeah.
And
His
so
memories
I
were
think
influencing.
there's a influence on everything, but then also reality just kind of breaks through. And so I don't know that they necessarily were dressed as the 60s. Like, what's her name?
They absolutely were dressed like it was the 60s. Like she was wearing the boots that whole time. Sid was, and like
Sid, yes.
and the dresses had the fringe. And Jermaine Clement is wearing a freaking leisure sleeve.
But he was frozen 30 years ago.
It was 21 years.
Yeah, he didn't age. He was timeless.
Yeah, so 21 years past the 60s. I think it's supposed to be like the 2000s.
Well, why
I
was
think the facility was like what was frozen. No, that doesn't make sense because super tech.
Well, Lenny and Aubrey during one of the dance scenes was totally Bond era dancing. Like it was Bond era music. It was totally reminiscent of early television.
Yeah, very 60s. Also, what was the point of that scene?
Which one?
The one where Aubrey Plaza is dancing around in the thigh highs?
I think the point of it was Aubrey
Wow.
Plaza dancing
Dancing
around.
around.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Well-
fine and all.
No, I think it was revealing. Her.
As like the bad
In-
guy?
no,
As
no, no,
the
no.
Shadow King?
It was revealing that she was shape shifting throughout his memories, and she was never really in his memories. Because, like, I don't know. Maybe that was the time where it was solidifying.
Okay,
that-
also, wait, when Sid switched bodies with him for the first time, whenever they kissed or touched or whatever, and like she killed the real Lenny, right? Like I was
Put her in the wall?
put her in the wall. It wasn't that she just put her in the wall. It was like all the doors were gone. Like if Lenny was standing in the door, it seemed like the wall just appeared there now. And Lenny just was caught in the wall dead. Right?
Yeah.
Is that what happened there? Because it never was clearly explained. It was shown she was in the wall. It
At
was
some
shown that
point,
David
when they walked down the
sitting
hall.
inside her was banging on the wall, and that everything was red, and that the Shadow King was in the background. And then later she was like, "I'm sorry, I killed your friend." And I was like, "So Lenny's a real person, but there's also Benny, who's a real person, or was Benny a projection from David's mind of the Shadow King?"
It was Benny until it turned into Lenny, because
Well, no, the Shadow King has been all of them. Yes, inside his mind.
all of the scapegoats, all of
But
like the
outside of
scapegoats.
his mind, was Lenny a real person and was Benny a real person? And how crazy is that he just happened to have friends with almost like exact names?
Like,
I
what-
took it as that they were
Definitely
all
was,
just.
But I think it's open whether Benny was.
Let's set a little bit more set and setting. So they're in Clockworks, the original Clockworks. Is that the real hospital the whole time? That's the real hospital.
That's a real hospital that Sid comes into and then leaves. And
Right.
he touches her. And so there is a real Lenny there.
Because his sister comes looking for him.
Yes, and his real sister in the real world comes looking at that hospital, and his doctor is missing, Dr. Kissinger.
And
So-
there's this third party group from the government collecting these mutants, or at least hunting them down.
Division 3, yes.
Yeah, right.
They grab David. No, they grab her, thinking that it's David, and then they switch places, right?
Yeah. And then they switch places, but they're without touching.
She
and their
her
bodies
power
morph.
her power like apparently
Runs
has a
out.
time limit, and she just goes back to wherever she is.
Without
Yeah, I'd
distance,
also like
without
to bring
distance
up that.
limitations.
Think like Soul Swap.
Like her power made no freaking sense. It was used as a convenient plot point when they needed it. Like, for example, so they touch and they switch essentially their minds, right? The
Yes.
bodies stay at that point. The bodies stay, but the minds switch, right?
Yes.
But then when the timer runs out,
The body.
the bodies switch clothes and all. Like
Yes.
what?
See, whenever it first switched, because it switched twice in the sequence of the show, the first time it switched was whenever I thought she was like secretly dressed while he was like eating the hamburger and then came and touched his shoulder. I thought that's whenever it switched. But then later on, she was in the car and then she switched in the car.
Yeah.
So I was like, I thought she walked up and touched him until very much later on.
No, like it's just like a timer goes off and they're back. They snap back. And like that story she told about losing her virginity with her mom's friends, like, you know, that's a little bit unsettling, but I think it's supposed to be. But like, let's talk about the mechanics of that for a second.
Yeah.
No, so not in the gross way. So she touches her mom. She switches with her mom. So she is in her mom's body.
Naked.
And she goes and she seduces
Uh-oh.
the friend, and they get it on. And then she says they switch back halfway through, right? She
And
says
then
while he was
her
inside of me.
16-year-old body pops over into the room.
Right.
Wouldn't her clothes
Her
like,
mom
just-
wakes up in her mom's body.
Yeah, so like, wouldn't she have her clothes on from what she was wearing when she switched with her mom?
she
Also,
never-
wouldn't she switch with the guy because you know they're touching?
Maybe they were switching so many times. Maybe he was into it.
Maybe
Yeah.
there's a
Her
cooldown.
body
Hold
was
on.
He
still
was-
in the
What
other
if
room.
what if there's a cooldown?
Cool down, yeah.
Well, no, but
Oh,
her body
now there's a
touching her
cooldown?
mom's body was.
Of course there is. There's all kinds of semantics here.
Man, that's some headcanon.
So let's keep going through like the sequence of events. So they get her, whatever. They find out that they don't have her, and then he's training. What do y'all think about his?
He gets picked up by the Potami and Carrie number 2, and they gets taken back to the island and gets trained, right, to learn about his powers. And that's when they find out that there's the parasite, and he gets knocked in. The Division 3 is closing in, and they have to like drug him in order to try and get through his defenses because Potami can't rewind past certain memories because of the Shadow King's influence, right?
Yeah.
So that event knocks him into the astral plane, and that's where he runs into Jermaine.
Jermaine.
I liked how the science only got him so far. Like, well, I didn't really understand like the whole MRI. Like, oh, we scanned certain parts of your. I thought that was just kind of convenient. Like, oh, here, wear this headband, and then poof. I wish it was a little bit more like psychological training inside of the bunker or wherever they were at. But the whole time they were just trying to address it like, you gotta, I don't know, you gotta be stronger than it. I wish he kind of was.
Can I just sidebar for a second and say that, in my opinion, the guy who played David Haller looks like the guy who plays the main character in Reaper, or the neighbor in what was it?
He was bugging me the
Grounded
whole
for
time.
Life. Grounded for Life. The neighbor in Grounded for Life. It looks like a better version of that actor.
See, I thought that he was low rent Liam Gallagher from Oasis,
Who?
like the whiny brother from Oasis.
Liam Gallagher?
Yeah, Liam Gallagher.
Eric, look up Reaper and look at the main character in the middle.
No. Dude, he was bugging me the whole. He kind of looked like a
Yeah,
young
I
Ben
see that.
Stiller. He kind of looked like a Ben Stiller meets I don't know.
I liked his acting. I thought he did a great
He
job
was
as the
good.
role.
He was
I
good.
kept seeing other actors in his face.
Yeah, me too. He was morphing the whole time, and like in the cover photo here. I don't know if I can paste this in the chat. Does it
So-
work like that? Nope.
So his sister gets kidnapped by Division 3, right? Because she's snooping around. And
David's
they're
sister.
David's sister, right?
Yeah.
Gets kidnapped by Division 3, and he's pissed off because he wants to go get her, but they're making him train.
Classic. Cliche.
Also, no one ever let Dr. Kissinger out of the prison.
Why was that?
He was like
evil?
he was literally like they didn't trust him at that point, I guess, maybe. Or no, not their concern. That he's not a mutant. They're not there for that. They're there for David. So
Wow.
what if he went rabbit and hurt one of them or something like that? So
They're being tactical.
yeah. So, but
He gets screwed.
ultimately, David does go to get his sister, right? And the Shadow King takes over and just fucking poofs people. Like is dancing down the hallways in David's body, just like poofing people into non-existence and into the walls and shit like that. Like David, what I was trying to figure out, is that the Shadow King's power, or is that the Shadow King using David's power?
Using David's
I think
power. I think it was total using David's power because if it's all about going Super Saiyan, it's all about Gurren Lagann, it's all about how emotional and strong-willed you can get about the power that you're about to use.
Yeah.
So like he was in that room. Remember, wasn't he trapped? He was trapped somewhere. Oh, he was stuck. He was stuck
in the astral plane.
In the astral plane, and then Benny was like, "Look, man, I'm going to show you something." And then somehow he showed him like a little TV of like the outside world.
Yeah.
And then he got like,
like Super Saiyan and busted out.
Yeah. So that was epic. Oh my god.
It was a pretty cool sequence.
I love movies or shows when it's just kind of like.
But that's also kind of like the beginning of the end in a way, because they go back to his childhood home. You know, the guy with the weird eye shows up there, and he kill and take over the body of the other guy, the guy that had the mind power. What was going on there? Because the guy who busted through was the guy who could fling people off of walls, and he was shooting at David and Sid. But then later on, it was the guy with the eye who had busted through. Did y'all see that?
I think like guy with eye and curly hair could imitate other people, like the way that, what was it, Mirage or Mystique from the mainline X-Men could.
Oh, okay.
So I think he could basically do that, and he like, because they found the body of Drool Man like locked in a closet
another room. Yeah.
So I think he was just like imitating him.
Because that was one thing I was like, oh, it's that guy, and then I was like, I thought it was the guy with the eye, but they never explained that. When did he ever do that again?
Like the mimicking?
When did he ever do that in another time?
Oh, he did that 3 times.
Really?
He did that all throughout.
Where?
He did it with Sid. He switched places with Sid.
She touched him and switched places with him. He didn't morph into her.
That's true.
What do you guys think of the?
He did the lighthouse. He did the lighthouse. He was the lighthouse.
Yeah, he was the lighthouse guy.
Oh, he was the lighthouse guy. Okay.
The fake Obama.
I thought it was Allstate guy.
Yeah, I thought it was the Allstate guy.
No, that's not even the Allstate guy. That's a different guy.
No, that wasn't Morgan Freeman. That was
no, that's a different guy.
That's a different guy.
Guys, we cannot fall into this category right now.
No, Allstate guy was on 24.
Guys, we are falling into a danger zone.
And then Lighthouse guy was on Jag. Don't ask me how I know that.
Okay. How do you know that?
Where is he?
New topic.
Right.
Okay, well, continuing in the story, right? So what happened next, Eric?
So he zaps people into walls, and then he gets his sister.
So they go to the house.
Back.
Yeah,
this is my
question. House.
This is my question about the house. So after time freezes, is his power freezing time, or is everything in his mind happening this fast?
Was it all a split second, and everyone's collective minds experienced it over a course of weeks? Or did he legitimately freeze all time in the universe so that this could play out in the astral plane?
Yeah, but then just those like 3 people were able to break out of it and then walk around him and like push the bullets out of the way.
They didn't push the bullets out of the way. Isn't that
they couldn't?
No, remember they were like they
exaggeration. But if it's in his mind, is he projecting them walking around himself?
No, they've projected out using their own ability, their own third eye. They're not out. They are not out. They are materializing beings that are out.
I think
they're not actually out.
excuse me, I think that Eric's right. It's kind of like they're using their collective consciousness to see what is happening in the real world. And it's not that time is frozen, it's that time is moving mega slow. So I think it's that everything in
Inception.
this conscious world is going super fast, but they're experiencing it as if it's real time.
Isn't Inception the one where you dive deeper and then
Yeah.
things go slower?
Yeah, it's kind of
What
like
was
that.
a cartoon that did that? I forget what it was.
Inception, the cartoon.
Oh no, Rick and Morty. To get his grades up, he dove into his
Memories?
teacher's
Yeah,
brain.
they're going to each like they'd go into a dream, and then within that dream, they go into somebody else's
And it
dream.
went all slower and slower and slower.
Yeah, with the Freddy Krueger guy.
Yeah, the dick fingers or whatever he had.
Yes. However,
Bitch.
Bitch.
so I got a question for the panel. Melanie, the blonde lady who is kind of in charge, Jean Smart.
Too old for Jermaine?
No, she is a fox. Number one. How dare you impugn?
I didn't say she was ugly. I just felt like that the age difference.
Well, because he was in the astral
he was
plane
in
for 20
Frozen.
years.
Don't-
No,
Hold
but
her
his
back.
body was aging. Like his beard got grayer.
Oh, they could have copulated, is what you're saying? Not
I'm just saying they
maybe.
could have made him look a little older whenever he woke up. It should
To
have
be
been that he
fair to
was
her.
young
Okay.
in his brain.
Anyway,
his body
He was
came
in
out.
he was in a
Should've been older.
cryotube. You don't grow hair. You don't grow a beard in a cryotube.
He was in a cryotube. He was in a like
was in his
18th
mind.
century. No, he was in an 18th century scuba suit that was in a cold room. That's not a cryotube.
They did their best.
okay.
Like just literally, they threw him in the freezer.
They
So-
watched a wiki how to build a Sorry, Jay.
But Melanie Birds, the Jean Smart, what was her superpower? She's a main character. She's in the whole thing.
Psychology.
Being
What did
in
she
love, being in love with Jermaine.
Yeah, talking.
Bullshit. Like,
She was a
Give me
talker.
Oh no, she had mind things.
give her something better to do than just be like, I'm in charge and I want my husband back.
I think she
She
was
was
a telepath,
empowering
but
women
she
everywhere.
couldn't move stuff with her mind.
She was empowering everyone. Sorry.
We-
I think she was a telepath, but she couldn't move shit with her mind, and
We-
that's why that she just kind of talked to him in the brain.
A very weak Professor X.
She's a weak Professor X. So you're saying that wasn't good enough? You wanted a strong female character.
yes.
Uh-oh.
She really liked listening to that coffee machine.
She really liked listening to that coffee machine.
I liked how they made insanity almost seem like slightly normal. Cause come on, people do that. Like listen to coffee machines and like keep their loved ones' pictures around. And there's nothing wrong with that. And it's just kind of interesting of how I'm not saying that they're villainizing it or anything. I liked how they kind of popularized this entire topic. I just think it's a very interesting mind fuck kind of show that brought to light some very serious situations.
I also want to just say that how inefficient was that vapor drug dispenser? Like you took
Right?
2 hits of it and then laid down and let it just fill your room. Like what kind of drug is that?
What?
That's just
What was it?
wasteful.
Remember the frog that
drugs
shot
frog.
the vapor out? Like they sat and they did like
Oh.
2 hits and they laid down and it just like shot vapor
Oh.
out for the rest of the scene.
Oh yeah. Well, like
Oh,
the,
gotcha.
the first 2 hits were like perfect, and then like the rest of it was just kind of like maybe it's just the type of thing that you don't reuse. Like once it's been exposed to air, you just don't reuse it, and that's the only way to like clean out your thing.
I think you're thinking too hard.
I think they do, but I also thought it was a funny dispenser.
Yeah, that was pretty great.
I thought it was pretty badass.
Like, do you think that was originally supposed to be like heroin, but the censors were like, no, make it some sci-fi bullshit?
No, I think it was always sci-fi bullshit.
Oh.
It's definitely like
Shit,
Hollywood.
yeah.
a bit.
Oh yeah, the vapor. Oh, okay. Wait. We're missing a huge thing. So remember in the therapy, the whole
What did the
tape
stars
thing.
say?
What did the stars say? But he ate the tape. So and that whole thing was pretty wild. So what do you
That
think?
was kind of weird.
What do you think it said on the recording? What do you think he said too much of? What do you
I
It
think
could be
that
what do you think is relevant at this point?
I think that it probably revealed something about the Shadow King, and so the Shadow King took advantage of the moment.
What did the stars say?
Yeah.
Stars say take over everything and kill everything that lives. Joy.
The stars say, "I'm the Shadow King."
Well, let me
I don't
pose
know,
a
I think it's
question.
foreshadowing. I don't think it had anything to do with the Shadow King at all.
It's foreshadowing the Shadow Kings.
So the relationship
We'll see.
between David and Sid, like, did you guys buy that at all? Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
It had a
Sid?
pretty good beginning.
I thought it was a great romance story.
really? Because I felt like they were like, all right, we're both in crazy jail. We love each other. Guess what? We love each other now because we said it. It was very
No,
much. It was
will you be
all
my girlfriend?
tell,
Sure.
It was no show.
Well, Jay couldn't tell.
Until they got in their mind, and there was quite a bit of show.
That's true.
Yeah.
There was even a reference
Yeah,
to
but-
a heart
but
song
that-
about like masturbation.
Also
David,
brings
yeah,
up
but
another
now-
point here.
Of the
Why do you
magic.
think it was so white? Why do you think it was so white?
Because that's what girls want to fuck in.
No, it was a well-used room.
I think it was because he really wanted it to be sterile.
Oh.
Speaking of sterile, can she get pregnant in that space?
No, they're in their mind.
No, he can teleport the sperm directly into her ovaries.
Boop.
It's so terrible.
It causes a very odd sensation for him.
Oh.
Oh my god, too far. So,
Okay, but the white room, like, was that in his mind? Was that in her mind? What was that?
that's in
think
my mind.
I
That's
think
in
that
the
it was.
space that he created. The three.
I don't think that
space
his
that he
mind is
created.
limited to his mind. He can create a construct where his mind can go and everyone can go for a time.
Right, global consciousness.
It's just-
The astral plane is everyone's play field.
Literally, where that box is just some three-dimensional box in the astral plane.
So that
And
was
he
in the
just
astral
created this
plane?
Yes, and the astral plane
He
is
was
time
using
frozen,
it for
right?
benefit.
So how do you find the ice cube? How does someone be so far off in the astral plane that you actually run into them accidentally?
Well, Jermaine Clement has to come to you in the suit and beckon at you sexually.
Have you?
The suit
I would
has a magic
respond.
power to drag you back to the ice cube, apparently. Because there's that chain or tube or whatever that apparently doesn't get caught in elevators.
Hey, you think people that are interesting? Have you ever had a friend tell you that they have experienced someone in the astral plane, like
Yes.
a distant other person?
Yes.
Have you ever had your own dreams or experiences?
I generally don't dream, but I've had some dreams lately which have been really weird. And no, because
Like, this is another person far away having a similar experience, and we are.
are you saying like the experience where like the person looks out the window and they see someone like on the other apartment across the building and they like wave they wave at them and they wave back and they open the window to look out and it's them in the other window looking back at. Is that what you're saying, Eric?
And with slight differences, yes. Well, I feel like the white room is a lot more conceivable than running into the ice cube.
Was that just like the room of requirement, or
No, that was just a space that David had created.
locally
Yeah,
with someone.
like a LAN party.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a land. Like I feel like a land party imagination space.
Like
is a lot
the
more-
astral plane was the internet, and then David's white room was a LAN party.
Yeah, and then like the ice cube was running into like someone else's solo land party that no one else was playing.
It was his personal VPN on the internet.
Yeah.
Well, no, like, what's his name? Well, I guess he did transport his consciousness because his body was still there.
That's what I'm saying. So like people are in a
He needed
coma.
the ice cube to survive there because his consciousness wasn't strong enough.
It wasn't strong enough to escape, and out there in the astral plane, you can get lost in what is real and what is not. So he created this little cube so that he could just remain there. But he had lost all his memories and who he was and all this stuff, and just kind of was a thought. It was just a mind, a consciousness with no memories.
I loved the scene where he was like, "My wife, she's Chinese, right?" No.
That was kind of sad. I thought
Asian.
the reunion
Asian.
between the two of them was like really lackluster.
Really? That was pretty affecting for me.
Jay cried.
He didn't remember her at first, right?
No.
Yeah, exactly. And he,
Yeah,
introduces,
that was-
he
changed his
introduces
mind.
himself.
He
to
didn't.
her.
He didn't remember her until he gets possessed. Like the moment before he gets possessed by the Shadow King, he's like standing up there with the power boxes, trying to give more energy, and he's like, "Melanie," and then he like falls.
Maybe he was just the ultimate nice guy and trying to like let her down softly or something.
It's possible.
No, I think his mind was pickled by both the astral plane and all of the martinis.
So every time
Did
he
have a
drank
lot
a
of
martini in the astral plane, did it really affect his body?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why not?
Well, I mean, high is a state of mind, as a lyric I like to quote from Revolution. But if you can just drink in your mind, then your mind would just tell you that you have drunken, right?
I don't
I
think
don't
that's
know.
proper English, but yeah,
Well, like
drunken.
whatever
Mind over matter.
that you have partaken of a drink,
You drank it.
you drank it, so then now your neurons are.
So you believe in the placebo? If you took something that
Yeah,
somebody told you
yeah.
was like alcohol pills,
You would
Then you could
hallucinate
get
that your
drunk.
brain
You
is
could
operating
get drunk.
differently. You would hallucinate in the astral plane that your brain is operating differently.
woo! I like slam poetry.
Like you would, if you're ever in the astral plane, here you go. Warning, PSA: if you're ever in the astral plane, don't imagine that you're like an elephant or like a different animal, because you might get stuck that way.
Okay, quick question. Eric, have you ever been in the astral plane?
I have had
He's been on the Boeing plane.
I've gone to the Boeing plane. What is that?
Yeah, didn't your flight just land?
Yes.
Oh, the astral plane. Oh,
Sometimes it's an
I'm on the
Airbus.
yeah, Airbus, Boeing plane. Good one, Aaron. Sorry, I missed it.
It was good.
I have seen things when I've closed my eyes, and I think you know, you have to separate real from influence and decipher for yourself what is repetitive and cyclical thinking and what is progressive and not. But I think everyone's been to the astral plane, whether or not they've realized it.
My astral plane isn't that clear.
Exactly. That's not that clear. I feel like everyone has either been there or not recognized it.
So whenever the Shadow King destroyed Glassy Eye guy, and he folded up in the real world into oblivion, like
Ooh.
that was pretty intense. That was a pretty intense scene. But like, how many times are those bullets getting closer and closer to David and her over and over again? Like it felt like every time they showed the bullets, they were moving. They weren't standing still.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring that up because something that a little bit annoyed me about the show was the general low-grade special effects.
Oh.
And I'd say this might be a victim of just the times that we live in, a time when Game of Thrones is on, and if it's not Game of Thrones, then it looks like shit. But like the Matrix came out 20 years ago. Nobody's impressed by bullet time anymore.
That's true.
Well, go ahead.
Well, that was literally, like, in particular in the first episode when they're breaking him out of the pool area, just that whole like slow-mo action sequence looked terrible.
Interesting.
Well, whenever they blew up the pool room and David dove underwater, whose power was that?
Yeah, who did the fire?
Who did the fire?
That's
What was
a good
that
question.
power?
Was
That's
that
a
Melanie?
great question.
I think that was Carrie.
No way.
Carrie
No
only
way.
beat people up. I never saw her do anything outside that.
And she wasn't very good at beating people up either.
She wasn't very good at beating people
When
up
you
either.
see the light stuck under the water.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she told him
They
to
have
do
a
it.
lot of random guys there too, like the guy who had telekinesis and looked like
How'd they
shit.
contact him? Who contacted him?
And where was he the rest of the time?
Who telepathically talked to him? Oh, Melanie could talk telepathically?
No. They contacted him from the dream. Remember, they altered the memory of where they found him the previous day before. I think it was Division 3 took him. And then they were like, "Hey, this shit's about to happen." And then the memory ended, and he got taken. And then he woke up in the pool.
Wait, so they're able to alter his memory from a distance?
Yes.
Maybe the memory guy. Oh, the memory guy can do that.
From a distance?
Yeah, hell yeah, that memory guy's badass.
Yeah, but
No,
what about the realtor?
they intervened with him. I thought before he got captured again.
Autonomy has complete control when they're like connected, but he can alter memories otherwise.
They planted it, maybe.
He peed in the pool and connected.
He couldn't like rewind it.
There you go. Also, why does Division 3 just have a pool? Like, what's the point of that?
They just set up in a high school.
Yeah, it was just a
Well, it
random.
was empty, and then they filled it. How'd they fill it so fast?
Yeah, that's a lot of water to fill. Or did they have two pools and one was set up with a house inside of it, and the other one was set up?
Now we're
With
just
water.
nitpicking. Now we're just.
If it was a
nitpicking.
school, it probably has like a quick fill.
I do
quick
have a
fill
statement.
option?
Yes, they have
The kids
to
wanna
drain it
swim.
and clean it.
They don't quick fill it to clean it.
They probably had to treat it before they are allowed to let kids swim in it. They'd probably have some dumb rule like that.
They probably have to clean it like at least once.
I do have a statement about the visual effects though, because we're just going to keep running into this. The more and more we watch TV, and the more television gets developed. You said like Game of Thrones, and then you said The Matrix.
Production is in the proletariat. I mean, you're going to see some stuff that's not as high as quality because it's cheaper to use After Effects, right, than it is to pay for someone to create dragons in a 3D model.
Well, and you
even-
also go ahead.
No, even cheaper than that is to craft a well-written drama that relies on conflict between the characters rather than visuals.
I thought it was well written. I thought it was very well written.
Not
at
at least.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was good.
What was anybody trying to accomplish at any point? We were just kind of drifting through.
Well, no, what is life? I don't know. I guess that's like a loaded question.
David was drawn into a war that the mutants and the government were in, and David's life was just to figure out what life is. And like, is he crazy? Is he not? So we were following David, and that's why the war with Division 3 kind of doesn't seem like that important to anyone in the story because David is the focal point. Now, Melanie and Potanomy, like, they were hardcore about the war. Like, Potonomy's like, kill everybody, kill them all. You know, he's like,
it was
they're
all
just
about
gonna kill us.
mindfuckery.
Yeah, he's like, they're gonna kill us, so might as well kill them. So
while we're fighting this war, we're just going to take weeks out of our time to delve into your memories and make sure that you really understand that you're not crazy.
Because of how strong he was.
Because of how strong he was. He fucking like teleported into a base and like poofed everyone.
Poofed.
Jay, he poofed them.
He poofed.
Jay, he poofed them.
He poofed them.
I love a good poof.
He went Super Saiyan.
He went Super Saiyan. You got it right.
Yeah, I wonder what the demographic is for the show. Like, how many people watch? Because there's so many shows now, and so like I feel like that just puts into the visual effects too. I feel like you nailed it, Aaron. I mean, it's just a lot cheaper, and I just think it's because you can't satisfy everyone, and with as much TV that's being pumped out now. I mean,
I'd rather them have Jermaine and have After Effects
hell yeah,
than have fucking dragons and use somebody that couldn't nail that role.
Jermaine in a scuba suit.
Jermaine in a scuba suit. That's all I gotta say.
The scuba suit to their whatever. They never let the air tube run out. The air tube was never cut short on screen.
It wasn't cut short, but it was cut off in the elevator.
Interesting.
Maybe it just like ran out from
Which
the
elevator?
So he went up to the
At one
top.
point, he gets off an elevator and then he rode up, and I was like, "Where'd the tube come from?" Sorry, my dog just jumped in my lap.
Well, okay, so the last show that we did before this was the first season of Fargo. And I'm curious to know, did you guys see the connection between Fargo and Legion?
Oh, no.
Created and written by the same person.
Really?
Yeah, Noah
Oh,
Hawley.
really?
Yeah, same guy.
That's interesting.
I could kind of see the
Noah Hawley.
psychology similarities.
Well, I think also what's her name? Melanie and Sid are also in the second season of Fargo.
They are. Oh my god, they totally forgot that. They
Yeah.
both are. They're in the family that's from North Dakota.
See, I thought that Sid at first. I was like, is that Sally Draper? But no, it's not.
No, she's really, really. Both of them are really, really good in Fargo season 2. Oh my gosh, I completely forgot they were in it too. I still need to watch season 3. That's such a good show.
That's an interesting connection. I had no
Yeah.
idea.
Also, the kind of climactic scene at the end where they're back in the hospital and they've got the glasses and the Shadow King is going around like killing all of them,
Yeah.
and they do it with, I think it's the entrance of the Toreadors from Carmen,
Yeah.
and they're doing it like silent movie style, where it's showing the like whole card saying what Aubrey Plaza is saying. Like,
Yes.
what did you guys think of that sequence?
Oh man.
I
loved
thought it was
it.
great.
Because I hated the shit out of it.
Really?
Oh, man. I'm glad you brought it up though. What did you hate about it?
I hated the whole silent movie thing. I was like, this, like, you haven't done this at all. This isn't stylistically necessary. Is it the 60s? Is it the 20s? Like, what is this?
They jumped around. They
I
jumped
thought
Didn't like
I thought number one, the point of all the different time periods, it's not that it was actually the time period, but rather to show you a jumbled mind of someone who is crazy. I think David is in fact crazy. Like he has superpowers, but hearing voices for 10 years and not understanding what that is going to take a toll on someone mentally.
I think you
And
just have
so-
to adapt to it.
Throughout the entire show, when you're watching David, you're listening to David, even though he knows he has powers, he's still doing fucking crazy ass shit. When he is in the cube, whenever the Shadow King blocks him off in the cube, and he expands it into a classroom, and he tells the story of his father and the Shadow King's battle and rationalizes his entire like backstory, he's doing it with a version of himself that he creates to like have this conversation. A British version of himself.
I
Yeah.
loved that part. I loved
It's a great sequence, but number one, where the hell did all this data come from about
Yes,
about
yes.
his father?
No,
That
whoa,
is just
whoa,
hot,
whoa.
hot
Thank
air
you.
out his ass.
Came out of his ass.
Out
Yes.
of
No,
his
it
ass.
did not. No, it did not.
Yes, it did.
No,
it was
his
like
sister
he's
told
like,
him that he was adopted.
there
His
was a
sister
guy.
told him that he was
Oh my
adopted.
It though. It's
But he
I was
didn't know who his
adopted.
dad was.
Yeah, he didn't know who his dad was. He didn't know that
He
the guy
didn't
that
need
dropped him off
to.
was
Everyone
his dad.
knows that. Everyone knows that they have a dad. His
But-
dad was a mystical figure of his biological parental
But
figure.
how do you
That's
know
all
his dad was fighting with the Shadow King?
Exactly. How did he know that anything? What if the Shadow King
Because
just
that's how
randomly
he
latched onto him?
rationalized. No, he rationalized that's how he was adopted. He's like, why did my parents leave me? Because he was like, why was I so angry as a kid? It's because his
But that whole
dad
sequence
left him.
That whole sequence to me proves, because the Shadow King's not there at all, that shows me that he is mentally fractured beyond just the Shadow King. He is touched with a bit of the madness. And so because of that, I think that a lot of the things that we see through that sequence in the astral or in Clockwork or whatever it is, like what's happening in the reality of that dream is there's zombie people chaotically running around attacking everything. You put on the glasses, you can see everything, but I think that the sound is still what's happening in the world of the vision.
The glasses were a little bit weird.
So the glasses showed them this black and white world, and that's why everything was in the card thing. It was not actually happening in the card. They were mouthing it. They weren't actually able to talk to each other, and so we were
cut
seeing
off sound,
right? Yeah, it cut off the sound, so that we were just seeing what was being said in that sequence that way. And the direction chose to do it in the style of the 1920s to kind of, I don't know, perk it up a little bit.
I feel like that shows that he was crazy, but I feel like the part in the classroom, I feel like all that information, I don't see how any of it was freebie information. I think it was all available to him at the time that he constructed that.
I don't think any of the information is real, other than the fact that he has a dad.
Well, yeah.
But that's every bit of that story was just a fabrication for him to try and.
But his sister told
Rational.
him that he was adopted. He
How
found
would
that's-
she know that?
She doesn't necessarily. She knows that he was brought to the family.
Like, how would she know the mutant battle story? That doesn't make any
she
sense.
didn't tell him any of that stuff.
Well, he figured.
That was never mentioned. I remember sitting there watching, and I was like, "This is cool. I love this animation." But
Unless
what the hell happened here?
But he was telepathically able as a child, and that was the weird giveaway.
unless he always knew, and Farouk made him forget. Unless he always knew the
that's why he
backstory.
had the dog. That's why he had the
gave
dog.
different alternate versions of what happened, and he'd be like, "No, it couldn't be that. It'd have to be this way." It was a rationalization. It was definitely an inductive, or deduction of what he thought happened. I don't. It could be what happened.
I felt like
He
it
could
was
be
a pretty good common denominator. The data that he came up with, I was like, that is pretty consistent with what you need to know, and it was just enough information to not be bitter, be better. Anyway,
That's true, but I do think he's crazy, and I do think that even he realized that at the end. He was like, I grew up thinking I was crazy. Y'all showed up saying that I'm not crazy, but that's kind of how, schizophrenia wins, is by telling yourself you're not crazy. And I'm afraid to do that because I think I still am.
Like on the beachhead when he was like, "Hey, is this real? Is this happening?" I loved the first episode. I thought it was a masterpiece. I wanted to give a rating, but I don't think we're there yet.
Are we? Well, let's see here. Is there any final thoughts about the show's story? The first season.
No, I think I hit my major grievances.
Yeah.
yeah, I think I said everything I loved about it.
Adam, any final thoughts?
Well, I had a lot of stuff, but honestly, you guys took most of it.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I mean, I went last, so it's gonna happen. But I don't know. I love the cast. I think they worked well together. I agree with Jay's complaints about Melanie. She wasn't very lasting. She didn't seem like a leader, I guess. Like as soon as David got his powers, it was like, well, you're useless. You're just along for the ride, which kind of sucked. But I did love this show. I binge watched it when I picked it up. I just watched it all.
Oh yeah, me too.
And put it down. That being said, I don't think I can give this show anything higher than a 9. Individual episodes, hell yeah. But I don't know. There were some episodes that were well, that didn't really make sense. Which
Are you giving the show a 9?
no. Probably an 8.7.
Ooh.
I did really like it, but it's not perfect. And I do want to see where it goes, though. I'm probably going to watch season 2.
All right, Eric.
I'm definitely. Man, I wish I had all the time in the world to dive in. I hope season 2 is just as good. At some point, I just kind of like the idea of a show, and I loved the idea that this show created. I definitely like any type of show that attempts to explain the inner workings of the mind, and they're all just for fun, right? I mean, nothing is going to be entirely conclusive, but I loved how it just kind of normalized the conversation, and he came through it. He really had a good resolution. I guess my one final thought about the show would be I love the coffin sequence. The same type of sequence whenever Benny helped him angrily break out and then go save his sister. Whenever he had to break out of the coffin, he was just kind of total mind over matter. The box doesn't exist. The box doesn't exist. I love that kind of stuff. So I would give this. I'm with Adam, but I think I'm going to give it a 9. I'm going to give it a 9. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
All right, a 9 from Eric. For myself, I would say that there are some things I like about this show and a lot more that I don't. Things that I like are the visual style. I thought that the sets in particular across the board were really, really cool. Always really cool to look at, a lot of eye candy. The costuming also fantastic. The acting, not so much. I really hated David. Didn't buy him at all. Didn't buy that he was in love with the girl. Didn't buy that the girl was in love with him. The didn't really like the plots. The powers that they had were pretty lame, apart from David's. So some ups, some downs. Overall, I'd give it a 4.
Fair enough. Interesting. Totally different perspectives of watching and enjoying the show, but I can definitely see where you're going with that. Aaron?
So I thoroughly enjoyed the show. I was hooked from probably episode 2 or 3. I love anything that deals with the mental states, like Wilfred or even like Leftovers. Like if you watch it. And so to me, this fits that vein and satisfies that type of show. But it was the main focus. And for me, a lot of the stuff that was inconsistent, I took it as being a part of how we saw it through David's eyes and through David's memories. And there's nothing to say that this entire thing wasn't just David remembering what happened through the entire event, and that we're not even here at this point. So for me, I really enjoyed the show. I think that there could have been a better David, but I thought that the actor who did play David did nail that manic, frantic, like kind of crazy personality. I do like Sid. I thought Sid was great, but I do think that her powers, some of it didn't make sense, like the body switching with the clothes and everything. So I'm going to give the show probably a 7.5 because it was solid. It was enjoyable. It was interesting. It was edgy. And I laughed a lot, and I'm looking forward to the next season.
Yeah, I think maybe, 4 might be a little harsh because, like you said, I do acknowledge that this show came from the perspective of David. And so it's supposed to be it's supposed to be chaotic. It's supposed to not really make sense because he's crazy, like you said. So I think I might have been a little bit too critical on it, I'll admit.
Are you going to revise your 4 or are you going to stay with it?
Oh, no. I think
I kind of feel like I'm in the same ballpark with my 9, and it's definitely interesting hearing your take, because I mean I can see where I'm a little bit more zealous about it, but I definitely agree with everything that you're saying about the show too. It's very inexcusable in certain senses, and it's just, but I enjoyed it for much different things. And I feel like the things that I enjoyed it for, it hit hard on.
It hit hard on, yeah.
What do you call it, Aaron? The mental type of
deals with the breaking down of the mental state, or the
just the mental
states. like Wilfred, where it's dealing with someone who you don't know what's real, what's not, if it's all just the person's fantasy illusion, or if this is literally what is happening. Right. And there's a few shows like that, and all of the shows that handle that or deal with it, I thoroughly enjoy.
Yeah, me as well. One.
So what's our score then?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. Jay, what's the total?
All right, we've got Adam at 8.7, Eric at 9.0, Jay at 4.0, Aaron at 7.5 for an overall rating of 7.3.
Nice. I feel like that rounded out pretty well.
Yeah, that puts it right between AP Bio and Fargo.
Nice.
Which are the 2 previous shows we did before.
I'm enjoying this lineup.
Yeah, so the next big question is, what's next?
Yeah, so I will say this, that in violation of the Texas Open Meetings Act, me and Jay spoke about the next possible shows, and we both were talking about wanting to watch something a little more lighthearted and comedic, if possible.
Shadow Government.
Shadow Government. Walking Quorum!
Yeah,
But
but
yeah.
I would be in favor of something a little bit maybe more sitcom-y, a little bit lighter. But I am open to any and all suggestions.
So you don't want to watch Hannibal for the month of October?
Oh, you know what? I
No.
take that back. We did say we want to do something spooky.
We could, unless if we could fit one
Wait,
in.
can we-
and do
can we-
something-
can we-
do something
Can we
spooky
just
for
do
the
a
end.
spooky movie and like
no,
talk
no,
about
no,
that
no,
and then come
no.
back?
No,
No, no.
This is a show.
There's too
Not
many-
the
Because
There's-
there was a
there's
good
too many
movie that
good
just came out
shows.
on Netflix.
No.
there's too many shows.
Can't we find something that is comedic and light, but also spooky and scary?
I know where you're going.
Halloween Town.
Ash of the
It's a
Evil
movie.
Dead. Here,
Damn
click
it.
on the link. Click on the link.
I would gladly watch Ash vs. Evil Dead season 1, which is on Netflix, free for everyone.
Oh,
But
not that link.
I don't know that Jay would
Not that.
appreciate it or consider it light.
Here, click on the first link that I posted.
Eric, you've posted like 7 links in here. What's going on?
The Haunting of Hill House.
All right, click the one after the poop.
Click one after the poop.
The
Love it.
link.
Horror TV show list. You couldn't have just Googled it for us?
I did Google it. All right.
You know what I meant.
So
you know what I meant.
Supernatural kind of looks good. It's on the CW, which would be interesting.
It's basically a show for 14 to 15-year-old girls.
We can type in.
Slam!
It has 11 seasons.
Hey. Okay, what about Strain?
You know, it might be about 14-year-old girls, but we can rip it apart. Just saying.
Are you saying you want to watch Teen Wolf?
Maybe you should.
Teen Wolf. I hear
like
Teen Wolf is
Scream
great.
Okay, hold on. Todd versus the Book of Pure Evil. I'm just saying it's Scooby Doo meets Evil Dead meets
heavy metal.
stoner heavy metal comedy. Season 1. I'm just saying it meets the October requirement. It's a sitcom. It's Canadian, and Jay from Jay and Silent Bob.
Are we planning on taking this one slow and then reviewing this one at the end of October?
Yeah, at Halloween time.
All right. I'm down with this. All right. So I'm going to type in comedy horror. Let's see what comes up.
I'm just saying Todd versus the Book of Pure Evil is a great choice.
Santa Clara Diet.
With
Scream Queens. We could actually do Scooby Doo. That'd be dumb. That'd be kind of fun.
That would be amazing.
like the original Scooby Doo, or like which canon of Scooby Doo though?
Yeah.
There's multiple reboots of Scooby Doo.
Scooby Doo.
Well, whichever one is on Netflix.
What's new, Scooby Doo?
God.
We could do American Horror Story.
That's not. I don't think that's comedy.
It's not. That's why I said Todd versus Book of Pure Evil and Ash vs. Evil Dead are probably the closest things to horror comedy.
saying-
What
It
about
doesn't necessarily
Stan
have to
Against
be like-
Evil?
Like comedy, that doesn't have to be
Oh.
horror comedy. Horror
Stand
comedy
against-
sounds terrible.
Stand Against Evil.
Horror comedy. Sounds terrible.
It sounds amazing to me.
Well, I mean, we can.
Hey,
we can watch
Eric,
the
Eric,
monsters, or-
Stand Against Evil. Stand Against Evil.
What is that?
STAN.
I wanna watch
Judgmental
something with none of y'all
Sheriff
have seen.
Stan
Hold on,
Miller.
hold on.
Can we find
Listen.
something y'all haven't seen?
I haven't seen this. Me
I
and
haven't seen
Adam
it.
have not
Hey.
seen this. Listen.
Judgmental Sheriff Stan Miller, who was forced to give up his job because of an angry outburst at a most inopportune moment, his wife's funeral. Relinquishing authority doesn't come easy for Stan, especially after he finds out that he must make way for Evie Barrett, the strong-willed and beautiful new sheriff. However, when both soon realize something is not quite right in their sleepy New Hampshire town, which just so happens to be built on the site of a massive 17th century witch burning, Stan and Evie form an unlikely alliance to bravely battle a plague of spine-chilling demons. It's supposed to be listed under comedy horror. So
And it's on Netflix. Season 1. Hold on. Season
I
1 and
recognize
2 are
the
on
main
Netflix.
character.
It's the doctor from Scrubs.
yep, John C. McGinley.
You said you haven't seen this?
I have not seen this. I have not seen a single episode of this. I was gonna watch it one night and I didn't end up watching it. But it is a horror. It's a sitcom and
What
it's
is
a
Scream
comedy.
Queens?
You don't want to watch Scream Queens, trust me.
Watching some chicks run around on Scream.
Yeah, it's like Jamie Lee Curtis, though.
The first season is only 8 episodes.
What's it called?
Stand
Against
Against
Evil. I'm
Evil.
posting it in chat. IMDb too.
Courage the Cowardly Dog. Oh man, I grew up on that. I didn't really grow up.
There are 2 links there that kind of blend together. Follow the HTTPS.
I'm
are
down
you
for
sure
that.
it's on Netflix because it's not showing up.
Hulu. It's on Hulu.
Oh well, that's a different. What did you?
No, I said that Ash vs. Evil Dead is on Netflix, which is true. And then I came back and said, confirmed, Stan Against Evil is on Hulu.
Ah, gotcha.
Just want to clarify that.
Make sure that's clear on the record.
I don't doubt.
Ghosted, Teen
Okay, so
Wolf.
All right, we're doing season 1.
Oh, Stan Against Evil, it's only 8 episodes. You want to do Buffy instead?
Buffy.
I've actually never,
let's
I've never
do something
watched
a little
Buffy.
bit longer.
Would
Let's
y'all
do
want to
something
watch
a
the
little
first
bit-
season of Buffy?
I've watched
Charmed?
pieces.
Hold on, Buffy. Let's see if Buffy's anywhere.
I think it's on Netflix.
Guys, everything is everywhere. We can just buy it on
Buffy.
Amazon.
Yeah,
Buffy the
but we don't
Vampire
want to make
Slayer.
all of our fans buy it.
It's also true. Season 1 of Buffy is on Hulu. The first episode is called Welcome to the Hellmouth.
That
Oh my
sounds
God.
great.
I
Or
mean,
we can
y'all
just
wanna-
watch Twilight. That would be hilarious.
I'm cool with Buffy.
I already hate myself for saying that.
But you're talking
I
about
would rather
graphics,
watch the
it's gonna
first
be
season
terrible.
than watch Twilight. Whatever Twilight is.
Yeah, if you're talking about special effects, like it's not gonna be good.
Yeah, that's fine. That's not a current show, though. Like, I'm not going to judge it on current like trends.
Fair enough.
James
Yeah,
just
but-
wants to watch it because he wants to watch like 18-year-old Sarah Michelle
I'm just going
Gellar.
to compare it to
And-
Sabrina the whole
Who
time.
doesn't? Who doesn't?
It's not Sabrina. That's not the right person.
I know. It's same time though. I think Sabrina was on UPN while this was on 33.
Wasn't
No,
Sabrina,
was on ABC. That
I
was
thought
like,
it was on. I know Sabrina was on ABC. You're right.
yeah, Sabrina
Wasn't
was.
Sabrina on UPN?
No, yeah, Buffy was on UPN.
Yeah, Buffy was on UPN.
Y'all don't know what local TV was.
We do. We lived in North Texas with you.
Hey, I used to watch Star Trek: The Next Generation when it was on first run syndication on UPN.
Yeah, same here.
Ooh.
Well, not first run, but I watched it.
She was in Scooby Doo. What?
Who?
Yeah.
Sarah Michelle Gellar. Yeah, she was.
Yeah, she was
Daphne.
Shaggy.
She was not Shaggy. She was.
She was in my version.
Okay, Austin Powers.
Oh, IMDb has categories? Hell yeah. I'm just going to type in thriller, horror.
Do we want to take a vote? Like, who
Comedy.
wants to do Buffy and who wants to Stand Against Evil? Because that's the two options that have been the best suggestions so far.
I feel like Stan's going to be a flop.
We could just watch all of Michael Jackson's music videos and review them one by one.
Starting with Thriller.
That's a new podcast.
Hey, that's a great idea
Horror
I would love that podcast.
TV
Music video
shows.
reviews.
for a podcast network.
Okay, the best horror TV shows: American Horror Story, The Walking Dead, Penny Dreadful, Stranger Things, The X-Files, Bates Motel, Tales from the Crypt, Twin Peaks, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Supernatural,
Whoa.
Hannibal, Masters of Horror, The Vampire Diaries, True Blood, Are You Afraid of the Dark, The Outer Limits.
I
Alfred
want to
Hitchcock
watch. I
presents
want to watch
something.
Supernatural or Buffy.
Let's go Buffy.
I'd rather do
Yeah,
Buffy than
Buffy.
Supernatural.
Yeah, it's Supernatural.
But also, iZombie should be thrown into that mix just as a option.
Damn it, Aaron!
Let's-
We just had consensus.
Let's do Buffy. Let's do Buffy. I feel like it's going to be.
I'd only want to do iZombie if we could do.
All right. Season 1 of Buffy consists of. Let's see, how many episodes is this?
24 episodes. No.
No,
24.
it's not
Oh man, that's gonna be long. It's
It's
because they're
not
like
that long. It's only
I'm not saying that's a
12
bad thing.
episodes. It's 12 episodes.
so 12 episodes of about 45 to 50 minutes apiece,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
we've got 6 weeks.
It's on
That's plenty of
Prime. It's on
That's plenty
Prime
of time.
Video as well.
And if you want to continue watching it, you have 7 seasons of content to continue watching, Adam.
That's a lot of seasons.
So everyone, this is Joss Whedon, right? He's the guy that did the Avengers.
I think this is going to be light enough to
And
have
Firefly.
some fun.
All right, so we want to set this for Sunday the 28th.
Yeah, sure. Right before
All right.
Halloween's.
Sunday the 28th, Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 1. Tune in then, folks.
For the scariest podcast.
We're gonna do Todd
Well-
versus the Book of Pure Evil next year. I'm just
If
saying.
you're having any health issues or would like to seek a therapist, you can talk to someone at betterhelp.com or talkspace.com. if you feel like you have voices in your head, please do not feel ashamed and seek help. And there is help available.
And remember to call your doctor if the erection lasts longer than 4 hours.
Wise advice.